For millions of television viewers, Euron Greyjoy is remembered as a swaggering, leather-clad pirate. He arrived in the later seasons of the show as a brash captain, entirely focused on terrestrial politics, a man whose primary ambition was marrying Cersei Lannister and securing a fleet for the Iron Throne. Many readers found that grounded portrayal underwhelming, but author George R.R. Martin has explicitly promised that the version of Euron appearing in his upcoming books is vastly different from the man we saw on screen. To understand the book version of the character, we have to look at his defining physical dichotomy. He has one uncovered eye, a bright, glittering blue eye, known as his smiling eye. He uses it to disarm people, manipulating the Ironborn into voting for him at their Kingsmoot election through sheer, unnerving charisma. But that blue eye is only half of the picture. The other half is hidden beneath a leather patch, concealing something that his own family members speak of with absolute dread. The television adaptation effectively only gave audiences the smiling eye, a charismatic, conventional antagonist. To understand the actual threat he poses to the world of Westeros, we have to look at the horror hiding beneath the patch. Underneath that patch is what his brother calls the blood eye, a black eye shining with malice. We can see it depicted directly on his personal sigil, a blood-red eye with a dark pupil, sitting beneath an iron crown supported by crows. The ship he sails under this banner, the Silence, has decks painted red, supposedly to hide the blood of his victims. But textual evidence suggests those decks are actually constructed from weirwood, the magical, unrotting trees used by northern greenseers to tap into a supernatural network. This floating weirwood nexus provides the reach, but Euron still has to bypass the natural resistance of a human mind. He force-feeds his crew Shade of the Evening, a liquid derived from blue-leaved trees that mirrors the weirwood paste used to awaken Bran's green-seeing. As the skin changer Varamir's Six Skins observed, a mind becomes easier to enter once it has been broken in, and Euron uses these drugs and horrific nightmares to soften his victims for psychic intrusion. To build his psychic network, he cuts out the tongues of his crew members, ensuring they can never resist or speak out. Then he sits at the center. He forces his consciousness into their broken minds, piloting them simultaneously to navigate the ship without ever issuing a vocal order. By psychically linking every sailor to his own will, Euron has erased their individual agency. He has transformed a massive sailing ship into a single, magically controlled superorganism, a hive mind made of human bodies. The scale of his dark magic extends far beyond his ship. He wears a full suit of Valyrian steel armor, a priceless artifact from a doomed magical empire, and possesses a massive, glyph-covered horn known as Dragonbinder. The horn carries a horrific cost. Anyone who blows it literally has their lungs burned black from the inside out. The magic demands a human life to function. This diagram compares two ancient artifacts side by side. On the left is the mythological sword Lightbringer, which required the hero Azor Ahai to sacrifice his wife to ignite its power. On the right is Dragonbinder, demanding the exact same magical cost, blood for fire. To power these ancient mechanics, Euron gathers sacrifices. In the unreleased Winds of Winter, he lashes captive holy men and his pregnant mute wife directly to his ship's prow as it enters battle. Tying people to the front of the warship serves no tactical military purpose. These are calculated blood magic rituals designed to trigger a magical cataclysm. To understand his ultimate goal, we have to look deep into the lore of George R.R. Martin's universe, specifically at an ancient mythological figure known as the Bloodstone Emperor. According to legend, the Bloodstone Emperor usurped his sister's throne, practiced dark arts, and worshipped a black meteor. His specific acts of blood magic were so horrific that they allegedly caused the First Long Night, plunging the world into a generation of freezing darkness. This timeline maps Euron against the ancient myth. From murdering his brother to worshipping a black meteor, their atrocities align perfectly. If the Emperor's magic triggered freezing darkness, Euron's ritual targets the identical result, a total collapse of the sun and a second long night. He has absolutely no interest in sitting on the Iron Throne and ruling a kingdom. He is following an ancient blueprint to deliberately recreate the apocalypse. Euron Greyjoy is a candidate to become the King of the Long Night, a dark sorcerer trying to ascend to godhood through mass death. The television adaptation stripped away these terrifying elements because the medium required a grounded, human enemy to fight Daenerys and Jon Snow in its final seasons. The production budget and narrative pacing demanded a conventional pirate. But the central thesis of the novels relies entirely on the supernatural. The story details the terrifying return of magic to a world that has completely forgotten how to defend against it. Euron represents the ultimate consequence of that premise. He shows us exactly what happens when ancient, apocalyptic power falls into the hands of an absolute sociopath. When he pulls off the patch and shows Westeros his true blood eye, the pirate illusion will vanish, and the world will inevitably splinter.
More Secrets of Westeros. Follow Raven of Icefire.